Do you know everything about fear and hunger? This is your ultimate chance to prove it, because this video contains every single secret in the game. You know what? Let's do one last challenge. If you don't know any of these, then you have to let me know in the comments. If you did know all of them, or you know a secret that I didn't include, then I'll have to make another video, which will have to be about Termina, unless I really did miss enough to make another one. Well, without further ado, here is every secret in Fear and Hunger. We're starting off with probably the most overlooked and secretive of the secrets. Fear and Hunger is a notoriously difficult game, and even having a single extra party member can change the tide of battle, especially early on. Did you know that you can get an extra party member as soon as you enter? In the entrance halls, if you look carefully, you can find a cage. Inside, there's a crying child. A strange sight for the dungeons indeed. If you can figure out a way to unlock her cage, you can recruit her as a party member. Hang on, everybody knew that? But I only just found out recently. I thought that was really well hidden. Well, since you all know so much about the girl, how about we get rid of her then? Luckily for us, she's not just a useful party member, but also serves as currency. There's 3 different beings in the dungeon who want to trade something for the girl. 2 traders are a bit deep down for this video, so we'll just look at the first. The human Hydra. It's hungry, really hungry, and requests that you give it the girl. If you do so, you'll get a special reward. Well, perhaps it's best if I don't spoil what the reward is here. Around the corner from the Hydra, you'll see 3 black priests praying and preparing a sacrifice. They're not very hard to fight as long as you avoid their lanterns and interrupt them with annoying questions, and they drop some very useful loot for unlocking skills in the nearby Hexen table. But they can also drop a very rare item, the priest's robe. It lets you disguise as one of these priests and talk to them outside of combat. They have some very interesting information about just what's happening in these dungeons. Also in this area, you'll find the library. It's the second place you'll likely find a hoard of books, which are very useful in these games, and you should search every bookshelf you can find. Knowledge is power. If you did search the first bookshelf early in the dungeon, you may have noticed a strange item, the mock-up book. It's a fake book. Well, as it turns out, there's an entire fake bookshelf in the deeper library. If you put the mock-up book here, then a mysterious passage. Dare we go through? Well, obviously. Outside you'll find the Courtyard. It's the closest thing to a safe space in the dungeons, and frankly, even that's relative. Here you'll find Ragnvalder, the fiery outlander who doesn't want to join you just quite yet. The Butterfly, a miserable creature I've covered thoroughly in a previous video. The Bunny Cultists, who I can't actually show what they do here, can I? But they give you a full HP heal if you spend some time with them. There's also a dagger lying on the ground here. It's too small for you, of course, but it's the perfect size for the little girl, and is likely the first actual weapon you can find for her. Or would be if you didn't just feed her to the Hydra. Behind this, there's a pile of rubble. If you have an explosive vial, you can open up this pathway into a small area called the Thicket. It has its own mysteries, and we'll cover that in a future video. Sneaking back into the dungeon, there's a little more to discover in these rooms yet. Here we meet Trotter, the dungeon's torturer. I covered him in depth in a previous video, the tragic stories of fear and hunger, but briefly, he has a few interesting interactions. You can just kill him quickly. He's probably the easiest enemy to kill this early in the game. Also, you can tell him where Prince Buckman is hiding, and he'll give you a reward. Later on, you can find another member of Buckman's party, Jean, and give her to Trotter too. As a final reward for her, he'll give you a key to his secret treasure, and tell you how to reach it. You can also just take the key from him with steel if you want to skip this long process. The treasure is the bloodthirsty penance armor, which is tied for the highest defense stats in the game with the gaunt plate armor, which incidentally is held by another member of Buckman's party, but the penance armor has a special trait that the other doesn't. In combat, your limbs cannot be removed by anything. The downside is that you can't take the armor off at all, and the spikes inside make you constantly bleed. With how strong the armor is though, it's usually worth it. But we're not quite done here yet. When roaming about this part of the dungeon, you'll probably notice the holes in the floor you can fall into. Even after 100 hours of playing, they still get me, but there's one here that you actually want to fall into. On the eastern side of the rooms, sometimes you'll find a hole that, if you fall through, will lead to a hidden part of the prisons below. There's a chest and some free resources to loot here, so it's actually pretty handy. There's one more secret in the prison I'd like to mention. The doll you can find here in one of the cells. People think it was made by Kahara since it's in the cell with him, but it's likely he'd only been there a short time, as the four heroes didn't arrive too far apart. It's much more likely that the doll was made by Lagarde, because, did you know, that he spent time in those cells when he was first brought to the dungeons, tortured by Trauter, and then brought down to the deepest layer at the behest of the priest. The doll is of a long, light brown hair man, which matches Lagarde's description. Perhaps he wanted to give the girl something to remember him by. Or perhaps he was carving his own idols in the same way Allmere did. Returning from the prisons, we find another member of Buckman's party, Sir Seymour. He'd been attacked deeper in the dungeons and chased all the way back to here, closer to the surface, but what is that attacked him? It's a scarab, an acid-spitting creature from Mah'habre, but how did that get up here? We find Jean and Sir Cyril inside Mah'habre too. Buckman's party got very deep inside the dungeon before running all the way back. It raises some interesting questions too. How did Buckman's party even enter the city at all? Well, it's not really clear. There's multiple ways to enter Mah'habre that don't need the cube, like dying or dreaming, but I don't think that's what happened to Buckman's party. Perhaps there's hidden entrances that we just don't see in-game. There's other characters who have gotten into the city too, like the Body Snatchers, so I imagine it's just that. Right outside where we see Sir Seymour, there's a really big, really mean enemy that you should basically never fight because the reward isn't very good. Unless you're planning on doing Ragnvaldr's S ending, of course. But did you know that the Iron Shakespeare actually does have some good loot? You need steel, and if you use it in combat against him, you'll get either a quill or, more importantly, a blank scroll. The quill isn't as useful since you can get them from crates, but the blank scroll is huge early game. If you're unfamiliar, blank scrolls let you ask Allmere for, well, basically anything in the game with very few exceptions. Just write, "Oh Lord, give item," and you'll be given one. You can also get skills this way too. It's an absolutely amazing system, and as such, blank scrolls are pretty rare. If you're playing Kahara and have steel, then it's definitely worth your time to try this one out. Close by, near the entrance to this room, you'll see some graves. Most of the names don't seem to be people that we know. The developer of the game, Miro, once said that there's a handful of references to characters that people made when the game was just a pen and paper adventure, long before it was put to code, and I suspect that the people on these graves are just that. As far as I'm aware though, this hasn't been explicitly confirmed, so it may just be flavor text. One of the graves, however, is a character we know and love. It's the grave of Chef Anders, the author of the cookbooks we can find in both games. The books are more gossip than actual cooking instruction, and Anders seems to have been quite the rascal. Not only did he allegedly seduce the Princess of Rondon, but he also killed and cooked his rival chef into a feast. Why he was put into the dungeons isn't explicitly known, but if these stories are even close to true, then perhaps it's not that much of a mystery. They're not the only graves we can find, though. In the next room, closer to the entrance of the dungeons, we can find the Black Witch. Or rather, it finds us. If you're not careful, you'll trigger the trap that has been laid in the hallways here, and be sucked into the dark realm, reminiscent of Rare's realm in Termina. The Black Witch will taunt you and eventually attack you, and this early in the game, it's pretty tough to fight. And if you beat it here, you don't even get a reward. But everyone's triggered that trap before, so that can't be the secret. The real secret is that there's hidden graves in this realm. If you push through the darkness, you can find them. In fact, you can find your grave. Whichever character you're playing as shows up here, and funnily enough, this is how we found the canon birth years and ages of each of the characters. And their possible year of death, too. Back in reality, and we can find the last secret in this area. What's behind the steel doors? To open them, you need a crow emblem key. So, simply kill the crow mauler. Or if you have leg sweep, just delete the door. Inside you'll find piles and piles of corpses, the room stinking of gore, and at the end, the unholy sword whispering into your mind. Miasma. This is one of the best weapons in the game, but it comes with a price. If you're holding Miasma and have low mind, when you enter certain locations, well. The same thing happens with your party members, but with a couple of exceptions. Skeletons can hold the sword and won't lose their minds to Miasma, but strangely enough, Lagarde won't either. Perhaps he alone among the human companions has the mental fortitude to withstand it. Last time we covered the upper layer of the dungeon and the prisons. This time we're going a bit deeper. But first we have to get down there. The usual way is to activate the elevator and then go through the mines, but we can do it a bit faster. If you somehow get the skill Leg Sweep early, either by starting as Das or by finding the right scroll, you can simply delete every door in the game that you can fight. Leg Sweep instantly breaks everything considered a leg in combat, and for some reason, doors are considered legs. This way you can reach Lagarde in under 5 minutes. Das really did want to save him after all. While you're going down the stairs, have you ever noticed this cool chair here? It gives a really neat moment. One of the few moments of introspection in the game. Can you really find a throne so deep in the darkness? The other way down to the bottom of the dungeon is through the Thicket. It's behind a secret door, behind a secret path, behind a secret door. It's really well hidden. There's so much strange stuff in here, it could probably be its own video, and in fact I have covered some of it in other videos before. You can find the Cockroach King here, who has a unique questline with really cool rewards. He's pretty complicated, and I'm planning on covering him more thoroughly in a future video. But in a nutshell, if you have the skill Mastery of Insects, then you can talk to him and perform some tasks. It's the only way to get the God of the Depths affinity to cast its unique spells, other than Enki's intro. The Thicket itself is full of very, interesting looking enemies that spurt liquid at you. They're easy to avoid though. There's a lot of items hidden around behind secret doors, and if something seems odd, just interact with it. You'll never know what you open up. One artifact you can stumble upon here is the Eastern Blade, a very strong light sword that has high critical chance. But the moment you pick it up, you're attacked by the ghost of its master. Being a ghost, it can't be hurt by physical damage, so most characters will be unable to fight here. If you run away, you'll be randomly attacked by the ghost until you actually defeat it. Thankfully, the sword itself deals magic damage, so you can just run away, equip it, and then wait for him to attack again. Once he is defeated, the sword becomes purified and gets stronger. The ghost asks you to finish his mission, although What that mission is a mystery. After this, just keep dropping down and you'll find yourself on the bottom layer of the dungeon. But before we get ahead of ourselves, there's plenty of secrets in the normal path, so let's take a look at that route too. As you enter the mines, you'll find a strange person. They quickly hurry off into the darkness, leaving you scratching your head. Not far away, you can find a ghostly knight patrolling the mines. Being a ghost, it can only be hurt with magic damage, and it can easily cut off your limbs. And it respawns even if you do kill it. So just run away from it. What is it doing down there? Well, it's guarding a doorway. You can only get through if you kill the ghost, so how do you do that? Right next to the doorway, you can find the original body of the knight just laying there, which you can attack. Unfortunately, it doesn't stay still for long and will fight back. And if you take too long, the ghost will join the fight too, so you want to break its enchanted armor quickly. After that, the ghost is purged, and you can enter freely. Now you've found the secret lair of Nosramus, the ancient alchemist. He'll tell you that the knight was someone he saved from dying, and then the knight swore to protect him forever. If I was Nosramus, I would have put the knight's body behind the doorway, so it couldn't be so easily attacked. It's a video game, it's fine. Nosramus isn't really helpful at the moment, but his workshop has some useful items. Are they worth risking your limbs for in that fight? Well, I don't know about that. This is required for Enki's S ending, but it's not mandatory for anybody else. But did you know that Nosramus has another secret lair? A secret lair? There's a hidden spell you can get later in the game called Walk on Water. It lets you, walk on water. It's only used in a single place, in the water pool where the Salmon Snake lives. Remember this fellow, we'll come back to him later on. Behind the pool is a cave with some more lizard men skinning people who were apparently alive at the time. Why? Good question. If we continue onwards, we'll find Nosramus' second secret lair. He'll give you a little bit of lore about Lagard here, but otherwise it's not really useful for any character but Enki, who again needs to come here for his S ending. Unless you want the really cool lizard man shield they can drop. Continuing through the mines, you'll find these happy fellows, the yellow mages. You know how poisonous creatures sometimes have bright skin colours to warn everything else not to mess with them? Yeah, that's these guys. You can actually sneak around the first one if you move very carefully. But the second one, you just have to rush. If you get out of their range, you don't have to fight them, but it's kind of buggy, and honestly they're not that hard if you take out their left arm first. You're right. They're right? This one. Despite their rude introduction, they're actually quite nice. If you speak to them in combat, they're happy to answer your questions. And if you answer one of theirs correctly, you can apply to train with them. They'll give you a special trinket, the Eclipse Talisman, and tell you to seek out their master. If you survive their magic, that is. The trinket isn't that good, unfortunately. Kind of a lame secret then. Or is it? Did you know you can actually find their master hidden in the dungeon? Look, alright, you probably did, but just give me this one. It's still really cool. Earlier in the dungeon, in the blood gutter sewer, you may have found this secret NPC hiding in the wall. Interact here and you'll be brought into conflict with the doom and terror of the modern man, Nas'hrah. If you don't run, you're dead. I don't even think the pro gamers have figured out if you can win this fight. Nas'hrah is a living god and he can crush you without lifting a finger, lifting his spinal column. But if you have the trinket and the cube of the depths, it opens up some unique dialogue. You still have to answer very carefully or you'll be crushed, but if you do, you gain one of the best party members in the game. Well, he's okay. He can't die, so you don't have to worry about his health. He can't attack normally though, so he'll be casting spells and chewing through your drinks and smokes. And frankly, he's hilarious. So now we've recruited the doom and terror of the modern man. Let's continue back down into the deep, dark dungeon. Remember the Salmon Snake I told you to remember? Well, now you just did. If you defeat it, you'll get a unique prize. A bunch of delicious Salmon Snake meat. And some random stone crown. The crown actually has a use other than looking cool. If you wear it when you enter the Cave Dwellers village, they'll all bow to you and won't attack you. unless you attack them first, in which case they'll turn aggressive again. So, unfortunately, Darce has to deal with their cave dweller issues herself. When you're wearing the crown, you can just walk in and loot everything, including the Cube of the Depths, and they just let you. There's even a unique merchant here you can use. They have 2 different inventories that are randomly selected in each playthrough, but it's a good place to get some supplies if you can. Now, let's get the rope and continue deeper. Before we get to the real secret here, I'd just like to mention a minor one. In this section, you can find a couple of locked doors. Behind the right one, you'll find the shark-toothed sword stuck in the corpse of some unfortunate victim. It's good for a guaranteed and easy-to-reach weapon, but not technically unique as it can drop from crates. It's not really a secret, but I still think it's useful to know. After the village, past the hungry furries, you'll find a section of the mines inhabited by miner ghosts. You don't have to spend much time here, you can just run through and won't have to actually engage them. If you do, just run, you can only hurt them with magic and they don't drop anything anyway. But what's this gleaming in the darkness? A cool sword stuck on a rock? Well, we've got to pull that out immediately. Not so fast. If you do without any precautions, you'll collapse the mine around you and, die. The cave will collapse and you'll be stuck in the darkness to starve. So let's be a little more careful. How about we make a party member grab it instead? Oh, yeah, that still doesn't help since the sword and now your party member are lost under the rubble. So how do we actually get this thing? The intended way you're supposed to get it is by using the Passages of Mah'habre. This rare, special book teleports you to the Golden City after you use it. A short time later, you'll be brought back to reality, having avoided the cave-in completely. Now, you have the best sword in the game. Just remember, it's the Passages of Mah'habre, not just Mah'habre. I made that mistake once. But now you've got the sword, you're still stuck in a collapsed cave. So, that's it then. Game over. Just kidding, although it definitely looks like that. You'll have to poke around a little to find a secret passage out of there. You can find the Assassin's Set, a decent light armour and helmet that matches the cursed sword from the Thicket, as well as plenty of herbs. Drop down and you'll find yourself in the bottom layer of the dungeon. Again, just checking, did we have anything else to cover before exploring this part? No? We're good? Awesome. There's not many secrets in this area of the dungeon, really. The only thing of note is that you can continue past Lagarde to find a treasure chest behind a locked door, and a little interaction with the bottle on the ground here. What do you think the lore implications are of a guard drinking on duty? It's worth mentioning that Lagarde only stays alive if you get here within 30 minutes, when you're not playing on hard difficulty. If you are, he's always dead. That locks out some of the endings, but you can't recruit the girl either, so there's multiple endings you can't get on hard. But the weirdest thing in this area is just north of where you find Lagarde. He even comments on it when you rescue him. There's a strange doorway of some kind in the darkness here. Nothing happens when I interact with it, and I couldn't figure out any way to open it. If you have any ideas, let me know down in the comments. We ended last time with this mysterious locked door I couldn't work out how to open. Thankfully, I was able to figure out this strange mystery and access what was behind it. The Tomb of the Gods. This area has a unique mechanic in that you can travel between the past and the present. In the present, the tombs are in ruins, but in the past, hidden away on the side is a series of strange sliding statue puzzles. They appear similar to the Black Witches, and you're supposed to slide them onto a tile resembling a moon. Since the moon god Rare hates humanity, it's interesting that Rare is represented as hiding this here. A lunar eclipse reveals the path ahead, but to what? Solve the puzzle, open the door, and descend to find the corpse of a god. Olmir, the Ascended One, savior of humanity, is dead. Sorry, I slipped into my serious lore voice there. This is a goofy video. To prove that, just use the spell Necromancy on his corpse to... Can I show that? I can't show that. If you come back here in the future, it's a little different. He's been skeletonized, so you can't give him a bone again. He's got enough. There's a key in the room nearby that we'll need for a secret later, so make sure to grab that. Back in the past, just above the now bursting with life corpse, you'll find a sealed off room full of a jellyfish enemy called Mah'habres, but deeper inside there's a ramp leading down to a glowing green pit. Loreheads will know the significance of the green hue, which is, in a nutshell, where the old gods dwell. Approach it and you'll face the Lady of the Moon. She isn't a hard fight at all, but you really don't want to fight her. You want to talk to her. She'll make you a deal. She'll fully heal your wounds in exchange for something small. The smallest member of your party. The girl. Her boss, the moon god, wants her. This is one of the very few ways you can restore your limbs in this game, so it's a compelling offer. Plus, it's exciting, right? Yeah. Out through the tomb of the gods, and into the city of the gods, Mah'habre. Overlooking the entrance is an intimidating statue of some kind of king with a snake staff. In the past, you can pray here. Each prayer statue has a specific god it's associated with, and if you pray to the wrong one, it doesn't count. This is the only statue you can pray to the god of the depths at, so it's a statue of that god, right? Wrong. It's a statue of Grogoroth. What? You say. It doesn't look like him at all. You're right, imaginary and astute audience member. Thankfully, we get a little background on this statue through party talks. If you have Enki and Das in your party when you're here, they'll clue you in. It's a statue of Grogoroth from a story in the New Testament of Olmir, from when he wore human skin. He liked doing that to interact with humanity, and wore the skin so they weren't scared of him. There's no shortage of weird stories in the world of fear and hunger, but that one's definitely up there. Just next to the statue of Grogoroth is a statue of a pig, one that's been haunting the lore community for ages. And I haven't figured it out yet either. Do you know what it is? Remember that key we picked up in the tomb of Olmir? Let's go use that. East of the entrance of the plaza in the future, you'll find a wall with a hole in it. Behind it is a locked door. Oh, and Jean. Hi, Jean. No, don't get up. Going through the door, you'll find the old passage. Again, astute viewers will recognize this area as the place you can visit in the past if you use the passages of Mah'habre. This area itself isn't the secret. I didn't want to include anything mandatory for S endings, and Kahara needs to come here to find some treasure. Fun fact though, the way to escape here is to find an alchemy lab and blow up a wall to find yourself back at the entrance, but I didn't trust it when I was doing my Kahara S ending. If you go right, you'll find the Old Guardian. He's one of the ancient statues who guard and work in the city. The Old Guardian's task is to protect the city for when the king would return, but it's been so long he's lost belief in himself. So he wants to challenge you, to prove himself. It's a surprisingly tough fight even with a party, since he deals very high damage and can stun you. When I fought him as solo Kahara, I didn't last long, and since in S endings you can't save, I had to start from scratch. Hell's a boulder? Oh my god. What? You're actually kidding me. You're actually kidding me. I don't know what I expected. Oh, man. Anyway, beating the old guardian gives you his red scarf. If you go back to the past and show him, you get some unique dialogue. Human, I am what they call the guardian. I was created to defend this city with my life. I am to look after this city until the king returns to this land. That scarf. I had a feeling something happened. I acknowledge your strength. Our duel must have been incredible. You deserve my admiration. Right next to the old guardian in the past, the, middle-aged guardian, is the Temple of Enlightenment. You're probably already aware that if you enter here, you can speak to the new gods of ages past, and there's a good chance this is the first time the player is made aware that there were previous new gods. Sorry, this is technically spoilers. When you meet them, they let you ask 3 questions. You really can ask about almost anything in the game, and some things outside of it. The secret here is that there's a lot of funny or interesting topics you can ask about. You can even ask about Miro, the creator of the games. There are things and beings even we don't talk about. Beings that come from the unknown beyond the blue skies. You can ask about me. You can ask about yourself. What you are to become is up to you. And, interestingly, you can ask about the events from Termina, the second game. Not only the festival itself, which technically isn't exclusive to the second game, but also the Woodsman. This is particularly odd because Termina takes place hundreds of years later. Is it just a cheeky little joke reference, or is the whole of the New Gods able to see into the future? Outside of the temple in the present, there's another one of these fellas, the Lord of the Flies. People say they look like Gordon Ramsay, but I'm not gonna lie, I don't really see it. What do you guys think? Am I just face blind? Anyway, present Mah'habre is filled with these guys, but why are they here? Good question. Past Mah'habre has different entities roaming around. There's primarily 3 kinds: harvestmen, uteruses, uteri, and embryos. Why are these here? Another good question. Did you know that both these questions have the same answer? Once again, the whole of the New Gods gives us crucial evidence to understand what's happening. Who would have thought that a group who gives you straight answers on any question you ask would be really helpful? Valteil, the new god of enlightenment, dedicated his time in Mah'habre to researching the creation of life. To facilitate this, he created the uteruses to give birth to new entities, and they, spent a lot of time in his bedchambers. The harvestmen aren't explicitly said to have been created by him, but they are creatures who like to please people, which fits with Valteil's actions. The Lord of Flies were also created by him, but by accident. They seem to be kidnapping people in the city, likely to further fuel their master's experiments. Valteil wasn't the only god of enlightenment who had laboratories around Mah'habre. Did you know that the previous god of enlightenment, our friend Nas'hrah, still has a secret lab squirreled away underground? In the future, when the streets of the temple district have been ripped apart with deep chasms, there's a single one that's safe to drop down into. You'll find the laboratory of the decollated god here, and if he's in your party, he'll prompt you to use his equipment to make a clone of him. It doesn't quite work, but you can use the equipment to make your own husk. Why? Good question. Above you, in the Temple of Torment, is the lair of the similarly named God of Torment. Above you, in the Temple of Torment, that is the lair of the similarly named God of Torment, you need to sacrifice someone. Normally, you had to put a party member on there, but if you have one, your husk gets tortured for you instead. But there's something else down in the lab too. You may have noticed this altar with 4 arm slots. Yes, that's correct. It opens if you have 4 arms. They can be dismembered though. This is surprisingly hard in the first game. They're actually not that common, and you'll probably end up having to liberate an arm or two from your party. But don't take too many, or else you won't be able to use the reward, the Circle Spear. It's a unique weapon that is very good, but being a spear requires 2 hands to use. Hope you didn't cut your own arm off for it. This is actually a reference to one of the first YouTubers to cover the game, called Neko the Circle, but Circles later became real canon thanks to Rancid in Termina. Just be careful if you visit Neko's channel, because he plays a lot of a certain furry fetish game, but honestly there's probably a lot of crossover between furries and Fear and Hunger, so look, just go nuts. Did you know there's a dragon in the game? It's dead, unfortunately. In the present version of Mah'habre, on the way back to the central square from the temple district, you can find a slain dragon. It's not elaborated on at all, but with a little more clues from elsewhere, we can figure out what it is. Let's back up a bit. You do know there's lizard men in the game, right? There's a chance you'll see one in the blood gutter when you find Nas'hrah, and there's some guaranteed near Nosramus' secret lab. Who are these guys? The lizard yellow mage marriage, don't worry, we'll get back to this guy, tells us that the lizard men ruled the world before humanity came along. There's giant statues of them in the prisons, proving they had at least a somewhat advanced civilization. But did you know they had their own versions of new gods? We find them in the Void, these entities called the Blights. Here they appear as dinosaurs, and are still said to rival the powers of the current new gods. It's more explicitly confirmed in the second game, Termina, which shows the new god carved wall, but instead with lizard folk. The dragon in Mah'habre, then, is likely one of these lizard new gods who was still roaming around somehow. The really interesting thing is that we can find a baby blight here. New gods giving birth is a vital ingredient in making an ascended god like Allmir, or the god of fear and hunger, so I wonder if the blights were trying to make their own. Despite the void seeming so huge and mysterious, there's actually not a lot happening here. The only real other secret is, did you know you can become a huge loser? And I don't just mean in real life. Fear and Hunger has multiple endings. Ending D is where the player character becomes a new god themselves, and there's a couple of choices you can make. If you pick right, you can become a strong, fearsome god whose name resounds through the ages. But you can also become a huge loser who everyone forgets and you get kicked off the throne after a short time. If you pick the choice where you don't tell anyone what happened in the dungeon, and then you don't help humanity when they need you, then, well, everyone hates you. Basically, if you shut yourself inside and don't talk to anyone, you become a loser. It's a bit close to home. Also, this is a minor one, but the weird fleshy moulded enemies you can find in the Void are actually the creations of the new gods too. Similar to how Valteil made his creatures, an unknown new god made these and sent them into the Void. This unknown new god made them to try and copy the power of the old gods and likely attempted to create life, but failed like Valteil did. Anyway, the different ending D options seem similar to what we've seen in-game. The loser god entry seems awfully similar to what happened to our friend Nas'hrah. The Void is one endgame area, and the other, equally strange but 10 times as dangerous, is the Gauntlet. There's a lot of odd stuff down here, but did you know that the funniest is what happens when you bring Nas'hrah? For ages, the god has wanted to usurp the powers of Grogoroth. He thinks it'd be easy for some weird reason. Luckily for him, you get to test that theory. If you don't have the girl in your party when you reach the end of the Gauntlet, if you reach the end of the Gauntlet, then the grim god of destruction looms out of the darkness. Nas'hrah will challenge him for his place and promptly get owned. He doesn't even get to finish speaking and Grogoroth just flicks him away. It's not even Grogoroth too, it's just his traces which are even weaker. This canonically happens too, since Nas'hrah shows up all burnt in Termina. I wonder who took him to face the god of destruction. If you know me, then you probably know I'm a big fan of the Sulfur God. Lots of people think that sulfur was only invented for the second game, Termina, but did you know that there's multiple references to him in the first game? The first words you see when you enter the Gauntlet are that it smells like sulfur. Yellow, of course, being the colour of mineral sulfur, and the yellow mages who share that colour only have one visible eye, exactly like our burned god. The lizard mage too is a big reference to sulfur. They share the single eye of their human cousins? In-laws? Sulfur himself is related to snakes, being called one, and is half of a pair with a perfect man god. Of course, I'm just pointing out the thematic similarities. I'm not saying that all Mir was a lizard-man-human marriage. Unless... Look, I won't go into the lore implications since I already have 2 entire videos about it, but it's interesting to see that Miro was thinking about this god long before he was actually mentioned directly. The final secret of what might be the final Secrets of Fear and Hunger video. In the Gauntlet, there's a section where there's giant rolling balls that instantly crush you. There's something hidden behind them, but it's extremely hard to... It's extremely... I'll just phase step. What? Look, guys, we're not getting behind these balls, I'm sorry. The last secret. The mysterious pig in Mah'habre, the city of the gods. It's an apparently hollow stone pig sculpture right next to the statue of Groggoroth, the god of destruction. You guys informed me, many times that it's probably a kind of brazen bull, an ancient execution device where a person was forced inside and a fire lit underneath. The screams of the person inside would sound like a bull's cries, and the steam and smoke of the person burning would bellow out of its nostrils. It's not confirmed that it was actually real, fortunately or unfortunately. Is the pig a kind of torture device then? A brazen pig, as it were. Groggoroth was a god that liked human sacrifice and did use fire magic, so it's possible. It's also not supported by anything in the game whatsoever, so unfortunately this isn't a factoid after all, just a fan theory. We're still waiting on the next update for the sequel, Terminus, so maybe the brazen pig theory will finally be confirmed. Back to the start of the dungeons. Did you know there's places you can use explosive vials to open up new paths? Of course you did, I mentioned that in a previous video. It's required to access the Thicket. But did you know there are actually multiple little secret places you can blow open in the first area? Depending on which dungeon layout you get, the amount and location changes, but you'll get an extra bed, a bookshelf, and some crates. Is it a huge deal? Well, not really, but it's useful if you have a spare explosive vial early on. In the next area, just through the garden, you'll find 3 priests sacrificing a man to our favourite god, Allmir. No, wait, 2 priests? Where's the other one? Well, he only appears once the other 2 priests are killed for some reason. Maybe he's a little shy. Maybe he thinks you're cool if you kill them. The priests have a small chance to drop their outfit when they die, and wearing it while talking to them gives unique dialogue. They discuss the gods with you and give you some interesting lore that we won't talk about since it's a huge rabbit hole. That is, they'll talk to you if you happen to find the outfit in a crate before fighting them. Obviously, you can't talk to them if they're dead. Maybe that's why this 3rd priest appears later, so you actually get a chance to use the outfit. Otherwise, you wouldn't have a chance at all. Or would you? That's a sneaky clue for a later secret and a subtle hook to keep you watching, so keep watching and I'll talk about it later. You'll be familiar with the Torturer Trotor's secret quest, yes? In a nutshell, you can hand over certain NPCs to him so he can, well, torture them, obviously. Just an aside, you can actually refuse to help Jean when you see her. If you don't interrupt the Lord of Flies when you find them later in the second half of the game, you'll find her dead nearby. If you do save her but don't help her, then she dies as well. Anyway, once you bring her and the prince to Trotor, he'll give you a key to his special armor and tell you how to access it. You have to light every torch in the area, and the secret door will slide open. But in certain dungeon layouts, he blocks one of the torches. Even after you've helped him so much, he still tortures you one last time. Our next last secrets are a little deeper down, in the mines. The Salmon Snake is a giant lizard boss whose meat can be harvested once it is killed. It's delicious raw, so maybe it's like sushi. When eaten raw, it restores 30 hunger, and when it's cooked on a fire, it also restores 30 hunger. Well, I guess there's no point to cooking it then. Hang on, how about regular meat? Raw meat restores 90 hunger, but has a high chance of giving the parasite status effect, and cooked meat doesn't, but still only restores 90 hunger. I guess that checks out. The real secret here is that cooking the salmon snake meat doesn't actually do anything, and cooking regular meat only kinda does something. There you go. Close to the salmon snake is the Cave Dweller village. It has a slew of secrets, but by far the most interesting is this little thing here. Do you see it? That's right, the plants they farm. Did you know that you, too, can farm in fear and hunger? All it needs is fishing, and it's a true... Oh, right, never mind. Well, you need to find the seeds somewhere, Our friends the Lord of Flies can sometimes drop them when they dies. Take one of these seeds and plant them in the soft soil, and when you leave the area and return, success. You get cave moss. It's a consumable that restores hunger. 7 hunger. It's the lowest amount that food items can recover. It's basically useless as food because of how little it helps and how hard it is to get. But it has some interesting lore implications. The moss is the only food the cave dwellers seem to eat, so its low nutritional value likely contributes to their physical weakness. The seeds are likely plants from the thickets with which some of the Lord of Flies are infected. The thicket plants are part of the God of the Depths, functioning as a way to bring oxygen deep into the dungeon. According to the gods in the hall, the cave dwellers are people who are trapped underground due to cave-ins, who then likely prayed to the God of the Depths for help. These seeds, then, are a form of the god's blessing, giving them just enough nutrition to survive, but not enough to escape. Speaking of no escape, in the next layer there's a maze of mine shafts. Behind a locked door, you'll find an unfortunate person with this special sword stuck inside them. It's called Shark Teeth, and, well, it's pretty good. To be honest, this one is minor, but worth mentioning since I never mentioned it before. Let's buff it up a bit and talk about another item in a locked room that I also never talked about, the Bone Shears. A bit earlier in the dungeon, at the top of the room with the bronze iron Shakespeare, you'll find another locked door. Break it down and... Oh, okay. Use lockpicking. Oh. How about we use a red vial? That can melt a lock. Right, okay. Use a scroll to learn necromancy so we can get some allies. Use another scroll to learn phase steps so you can avoid the enemy stuck in the door. Use necromancy to get your skeleton, go back and fail to break the door down again. Okay. Use 2 more scrolls to get the Eastern Sword and a Yiga-Getsu amulet to crit farm and fail to break the door down again. Use another scroll to give yourself the White Angel Soul, which gives you permanent double turns, and then realize it doesn't work on doors. Remember you have phase step and just teleport past it, but then realize that doesn't work on this specific door either. Go and get another skeleton and then fail again, and then use another scroll to learn On Guard, which gives you a bonus attack at the start, and then realize that that doesn't work on this door either. Finally, make your skeleton's attacks all connect at the same time and break down the door. Inside, stuck into a corpse, you'll find the Bone Shears. A giant pair of scissors that require 2 hands and do high damage, but have a lower chance to hit. They're actually kinda useless because of that. Hit chance is a really big deal in the first game. Some ghosts spawn on the way out, but you can just run past them with your useless weapon. By the way, you can also just find the Bone Shears and Shark Teeth weapons in crates randomly, so it's all kind of pointless really. Anyway, for something simpler, the Ghost Knight. In the mines, there's a Ghost Knight who protects a certain area. The new gods tell us it was a knight whose life was saved by Nosramus, who then swore to protect the wizard. So Nosramus turned them into a ghostly guardian, doomed to wander around the darkness for eternity. That doesn't sound like a good deal, but whatever. You can technically win against a ghost, but it just respawns. The way to beat it is to break apart its actual corpse. When you initiate the fight, the ghost won't appear for a few turns, so you have to be quick. And yes, you can be quite quick. If you didn't blow through all your explosive vials earlier in the dungeon, you can just throw 1 at the armor and destroy it in a single turn. Although this doesn't work on harder difficulties, so you've got to fight it the old-fashioned way. Another secret: the Ghost Knight fight has a guaranteed 100% escape chance. That's the Ghost Knight by itself, not when you fight the armor. Well, look, it is a guardian that really doesn't care if you run away, just as long as you stay out of Nosramus' lair. Returning to everyone's favourite area, the Thicket, and there's a few little secrets here, and a couple of big ones. The big one is the Cockroach King. He has his own section in another video I made, and there's lots of little treasures hidden throughout this verdant maze. The thing we're focusing on today is this cool sword, the Eastern Sword. I've talked about this before as well, but I did miss one secret about it. When you take the sword, you'll be attacked by the spirit of its owner. This is a tricky fight because not only can he do a lot of damage to everyone quickly, he's also a spirit and can't be hurt by physical damage. So, unless you're prepared, you'll probably have to run away. If you do, the ghost will haunt you, periodically ambushing you at random locations in the dungeon. Or are they? Did you know that the locations aren't random at all? There's certain points in every map where, if you have the cursed sword, you'll be jumped by the ghost. It's not 100% guaranteed, but merely a high chance when you walk through these spots, so it kinda does feel random. If you remember where all of them are, you can just never have to worry about fighting the ghost. You probably should though. When you beat him, it uncurses the sword, which means it doesn't do magic damage anymore, but the uncursed version has a very high crit rate and very high damage, so it's usually a better trade-off. Deeper down in the dungeons, lurking in the dark ruins of the City of the Gods, is a terrifying enemy. It's almost impossible to kill. It's got such extremely high It's got extremely high evasion. So how do you deal with this nightmare? Simple. You talk to it. You don't even need Mastery of Insects, the spell that lets you actually talk to insects. You just select talk, then step on the spider. Follow me for more pro-gamer tips. To the east of the city, you'll find the Tower of the Endless. If you sleep here in the past, you can visit the Realm of Dreams and see glimpses of the past of the 4 main characters. At the end, we find Nilvan, the new god who owns this tower, and we'll talk about her in a moment, but when roaming around the city, you can find some more dark priests. They're not hostile here, but like before, have some special dialogue if you're wearing the dark priest outfit. Both will give you helpful items, an empty scroll and some opium. There's a little bit of lore too. The dark priests have been persecuted for some time and are expecting some event to occur, a kind of jubilee. They're either in on Lagarde's plan to turn himself into a god or paying close attention to it. Later on in the dream, after you fight the delightful Skin Granny, you come face to face with the Endless One, the free-spirited member of the Fellowship, Nilvan. She tells you a little about what's actually happening in the dungeons, that humanity needs a god that is stronger than the new gods, one that can stand up to the missing old gods, and asks you to take the girl, her child, to the Heart of Darkness. If you say yes, she'll gift her soul to you, one of 3 required to enter the throne room of Mah'habre. Of course you'll say yes, but what if you didn't? Then, yeah, she just leaves. Huh. You need 3 souls to enter the Golden Palace. The Tormented, Enlightened, and Endless souls. You may notice that these are the souls of the player characters, and yes, if you already have them, then you don't need to fight the Fellowship to get them. If you start as, say, Kahara, then you don't need to get Nilvan's soul. If you do refuse her though, and you're not playing as Kahara, well, then you've got to go kill him for it. Good luck. If you do agree to Nilvan's terms, eventually you'll find yourself in the Heart of Darkness, the Gauntlet. Well, you don't have to, you can just lie to her, but let's say you didn't. Now, it's well known by now that there are some odd links to the Sulfur God in the first game, including in the Gauntlet. For one, it explicitly mentions the smell of sulfur when you enter. Did you know there's a couple more? Maybe references to all mere technically, but hey, what's the difference, right? The yellow lizard mages, marriages between yellow mages and lizardmen, only have one eye. They're the product of a Sylvian marriage, and explicitly thankful to Sylvian. Some theorists have suggested that Sylvian was the mastermind behind Olmir's ascension too. And of course, the Sulfur God is also known as the Snake, a reptile. That's not all. There's traps that spit out poison gas clouds. The traps appear to be a stone carving of 4 pig faces, one in each cardinal direction, with a human face emerging from the top. That human face only has a single eye. A full breakdown of the carvings in the Gauntlet is best saved for another time, but needless to say, the single-eyed human iconography is interesting indeed. If you didn't decide to go along with Nilvan's plan and throw the young girl into the darkness, then you'll likely end up throwing her into the other darkness, the Void. This one's green instead of purple though. After you beat Francois and sit on the throne, you're transported into the Void. Your party members come with, but they're lost in the darkness and you've got to go find them. In the last video, we talked about the young baby blight that can be found here. The blights, the dinosaurs found in the Void, are the new gods of the Lizardmen. Since they have a baby, it's likely similar to the girl, who is a child of the current human new gods, specifically Nilvan. The girl is part of a plan to create a true god, stronger than the new gods, and perhaps this baby blight was a previous attempt, obviously one that failed. As pointed out in the comments, if you bring the girl here, she can be found standing with this creature, likely to highlight the similarity between the two and lending credence to this theory. And now, the final secret in the Final Secrets video. Right at the entrance of the dungeon, one of the first things you can see when you start the game is a dead horse. Of course, naturally, you can kick it. But did you know, if you keep kicking it, and 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 keep kicking it, Ooh, that was a lot. How did you do? Did you know all of them? Did you know any that I didn't know? I hope not. Did you know that my first Secrets of Fear and Hunger video was almost 2 years ago? I'll tell you one thing, I'm glad that my audio quality has improved since then. I got whiplash listening to the early ones. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, please consider becoming a patron. It's the best way to support content like this. You can get access to scripts, teasers, videos a week before the general public, and, of course, your name in the credits. Thank you very much to those who have already supported. Their names are on screen now. You know, it's fun looking back at the older videos on this channel and how far we've come in the couple of years I've been covering these amazing games. Events in my life recently have made me aware of how many people have been good to me, so I'd like to take a moment to say thank you. I'd like to thank Miro for creating these amazing games, without which I might not have a YouTube channel. Covering these games has made my YouTube channel. I'd like to thank my family and friends who have supported me so much, often without even knowing what these games are, or even that you could make money from YouTube. I still get asked a lot how you actually make money from YouTube, which is pretty funny. I'd also like to thank God for saving me from my darkest moments, without which I might not be here. And finally, I'd like to thank you, the viewers. It's all about you guys, really. Nothing else I'm doing matters if you don't enjoy the videos. And I'm glad that I'm able to make something that you guys enjoy. You've made my life immeasurably better, and I'll forever be grateful for you. So thank you, my friends. You've been watching Mythonics, hosted by Morve Duke. And remember, you're never alone in the dark.